thank you for joining me in this third episode. I'm going to be looking today at the dyes that we can get from the garden and from the hedgerow this time of year. It can be a little bit challenging because there's not an awful lot out there to use in the dye pot, but I do have some walnuts and I'm going to be showing those in a little while, and I also have been intending to do something with a cherry tree that we partially chopped down, and I've left it so that we can peel the bark while the bark is actually still alive. I don't know if that will make a difference to the color, but I'm hoping that it will, so I'll just show you that. So this is the stump of the cherry tree that I was just speaking about. We cut the top off of it. It was growing far too near to the hedge and far too near to a tree that's next to it here, which is overhanging it, and they were always conflicting. So as the tree wasn't doing very well, we decided to take the top off of it. But I've put the top branches into the dead hedge down the garden, which I'll show you in a minute. But I've left the stump like this on purpose because I wanted the bark to be fresh. I don't want to have dead bark. I don't know how much of a difference it will make with the colour, but there are supposed to be pinks that are available from cherry bark, and I felt that I would have the best opportunity of getting those colours if I left it with the sap in the wood and just peeled this now. So that will be my next job. So I've just come out now to try and get the bark off here. As you can see, I've been trying to do that with a hatchet, which was quite difficult. I'll just show you that. I just had a small hand hatchet and I was working at the bark, and it does work, but it's quite slow. So I've gone to get my drawer or shaving knife, and I think this is going to be an awful lot easier. So yes, it is. I'm taking a little bit of the wood with it as I go, but that's okay. And you can see that the bark is still quite green underneath there. So it's still alive, which I'm very happy about. So I'm hoping for the best colours that way. Now this is another winter dye that does not require any mordant. So that makes that a very useful one for the dye pot. And again, I'm going to soak this in rainwater before I dye with it. And it's going to have quite a long soaking time, at least a week. Usually with barks, I like to leave them a month actually. But what I will do is bring this up to the simmer on the top of the wood burner just to soften it, and then I'll leave it to sit for as long as I think necessary. So this is another one that we're going to be revisiting in a few weeks' time. So I've just repositioned the camera to the other side so you can see a little bit more of this. This has a wonderful smell. Just can smell the wood. It's all useful. Don't want to waste any of it. You could of course do this with any prunings from a cherry tree. So think I'm going to come down the way with this. So once again, I am just going to put this into the rainwater for a soak. And I've got it all gathered up here in this cloth. I'll show you in a minute. So I've just filled that pot full of rainwater, and I just wanted to show you the color that's coming off it already, and I've only literally just put this in here, so it's quite exciting. Very, very orange, if you can see that. It's the water is already quite an orange color, so this is very exciting. I'm now going to just warm that water very slightly to soften the bark. I'm not going to boil it or anything, and then I'm going to leave it to sit. It probably will need a few weeks, I think, so we'll revisit this in another video. I've come down now to the bottom of my garden, and you can see there's a river that runs along the bottom here. And it's just a beautiful spring day, or sorry, I should say late winter, because it's not really spring yet officially. But I do get very excited when I come down here and I see the nettles. I shouldn't really have so many, but they are very good for the dye pot, and of course there's fiber in them, and they are useful for making additions to the soil and the compost heap. So there's a lot of uses for nettles, and I don't like to get rid of all of them, but I think I probably do have too many at the moment. But anyway, that's the river, and I just wanted to show you this dead hedge that I've made. I've had somebody pound some stakes in for me, and I've got 2 rows of these stakes all the way up here, all the way up as far as you can see there. And in between the 2 parallel rows, I've pushed in as many old bits of twigs and trimmings from the trees, and anything else I could find. Old Christmas tree in there as well, I think, somewhere. Just, it makes a rather rustic looking barrier between ourselves and the neighbouring field, and it blends in well. And I like the fact that it's good for wildlife. We have a lot of voles here, and hedgehogs, lots of hedgehogs, and of course they like to get in underneath there. We also have muntjacs, which are not so welcome, and they come in around the bottom there, so I've got to extend this right out towards the river. But it's just a gorgeous day today, and I thought I would just show you that. So here we are in Ixworth churchyard, and this is the old 1300s, 14th century church, and I'm walking over the rough ground, so please forgive all of the bumps with my filming. This is a beautifully made church from flint, and I don't know if you can see this, but I'm going to go right up to it. Excuse the wheelie bins. There is the napped flint. Flint napping was done to provide this nice flat surface to the flint to build with, and it looked beautiful. Anyway, the main attraction to this churchyard for me is this tree. It is a black walnut, and there's nothing on it at the moment, obviously, because it's March, but it's full of walnuts, in the autumn. And the squirrels sit up here in this tree and chew on them and throw them down, and they land on the ground. And actually what I'm after are mainly the walnut husks, the green walnut husks. And there'll come a time in the autumn during, well, probably August, and for about one whole week the ground is just covered in green walnut husks, and that's the very best time to get them. So just wanted you to see my tree. I was just showing you the walnut tree that I got my walnuts from. I also have a walnut tree in my garden at the front, but there are a lot of cars that go by, so I just decided not to video that one. But I'm now going to show you what I have in the way of walnuts stored from last autumn and what I'm going to do with them. So this is my bag of walnuts that I collected from my own walnut tree and the one down the road near the churchyard. They've been drying there since August, I think, yes, September. And it's good that I'm doing this video because it's helped me stop procrastinating and get on with this. So out from my shed I have brought my mother's book press here. I'm going to try to reduce these walnuts into small pieces of shell, and I figured that the book press would be the way to go. My mother used to bind books, and she did some beautiful leather book bindings. So here is the book press. I spent some time last night shelling all of those walnuts that I cracked in the book press, and I ended up with these. So they're not completely cracked as much as they could be, but they're fine. And I was very happy with the nuts that I got from that. There's a lot of nuts in there. So I like to use rainwater whenever possible. So I've come out here to where my rain butt is, and I'm going to now just soak these walnuts in rainwater for probably a week. So we're going to revisit this. I may even choose to soak them for a little bit longer, but I'll show you what I do with them in between now and when I actually dye the yarn or fibre with them. So I'll just let that fill up a little bit. There's loads of tannin in walnuts, so you don't need to have a mordant. This is one of the most wonderful dyes, the rich dark brown tones that will come. I'm not quite sure how dark I will get with dried walnut husks. I usually use the green walnut shells that come from the outside of the actual nut, and I think I get very, very good colours with that. So I will get nice browns with this too. I'm just out now in a deciduous wood that's not far from where I live, and I come up here sometimes at this time of year, March, to see what I can find in the way of lichen. And it's a bit difficult in East Anglia because the climate here is as dry as, well, it's the driest part of the UK, I think, but it's kind of rare that we get heavy rainfall continuously, and we had a little bit of drizzle rain this morning, so I'm thinking that the atmosphere might just be damp enough to lift some lichen. I do have another video on lichen dying, so I'm not going to go into that extensively, but I did just want to show you the place where I get it from, where I live, and what it looks like. So I'm just panning the camera around this wood. It's a beautiful old deciduous wood, and it's managed here by people that own this big house, and it's just very pretty. There are deer here, and I'm just panning the camera down onto the ground here to show you. This is the kind of lichen that I'm picking up. I don't ever take it off the tree. I only ever get it from a fallen piece of wood like this, because this is going to die anyway. And in this climate, it can be very hard to get this off, but with the damp morning that we've had, that would lift quite easily. So I will take that home and add it to my lichen dye pot. So that's one of the obvious ones that you can get in the winter. I've just come out now to show you a few of the dyes that I've obtained with the winter plants that I've mentioned in this video. This is the only one that is not mentioned here, and this is a rhubarb root. Now, if you've got rhubarb plants that you don't want anymore, this is something you can do in the winter time, and it's a lovely toffee caramel colour, warm colour, and there's an awful lot of dye in the roots of rhubarb, so do have a go with them if you've got an unwanted rhubarb plant. This one is my walnut husks. So this was done in the autumn with the green husks, but I hope to get a shade similar to that, but lighter, with the hulls of the nuts. This one is oak leaves. Now, that's not strictly a winter dye, but I did get these oak leaves in October. I haven't tried dyeing with them when they are dried, but I think you could still get something. That's something I need to still try, but no mordant needed here. The oak leaves stay on the trees in the UK for longer than any other of the trees, so they're the last ones to fall, and even right up until the end, when they look like they wouldn't give any more dye, they still do. So that's one to remember. And then here is my nettle dye, and this one was dyed in November time. I pulled the very, very last nettles that were in my garden at the bottom where I was showing you before, and that's a lovely soft khaki green, which I love. I love this colour. The ones that are coming up now in the spring, I will be probably dyeing with in April, and that will give quite a different green, a brighter green. So that's quite exciting to be able to get different shades from the same plant. So there they are, just a few of the winter dyes, or autumn, late winter, and I hope that's inspired you to have a go. If you like what you've seen today, please think about subscribing, and also join me again for my next episode.